find it's more about technique now than it was when you were younger? Or you know, are you doing more drills and such, or is it similar balance?
I mean, now I'm working with Dave Turner, and he's based up in Loughborough. He's a brilliant coach up there, and he definitely knows his stuff. So he's got lots of javelin drills that we go through just to make sure. And yeah, the answer to your question is now technical ability is higher up on the agenda than the actual power. Because if you throw a technically great throw, you've got less chance of getting injured. And so, yeah, this winter is going to be full of lots and lots of drills and getting the body so it's consistently throwing well. And yeah, and then making that javelin fly out there.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Also, with these drills, you learn to hit the javelin through the point as well. And so all the energy is going straight forwards and not sort of deflected through the javelin and hitting wind and all sorts of things like that.
It's really obvious when we go, and we've been to some throws festivals this summer, and you're standing to the side of the track, like on the middle of the 100-meter straight, and you see the javelins flying out, and it is so obvious to see where you've got a javelin that beautifully follows through the point, and its tail is in its own sort of shadow, if you will, and then you've got some that kind of come out and fly like this, and you're like, wow, that's. But it's so is there a particular trick or drill or technique to achieving that flight every time, or is it, you know, what would you work on to hit it through the point?
I mean, I'm not a coach as such, and you know, I don't have the kind of technical ability to be able to talk that through, but I would say keeping the point close to your head, making sure it's not waving up or going out to the side, a very important thing. Also to keep your line of sight relatively low, and so that enables you to kind of pop the javelin up when you come down for the plant. I'd say that's it really. I don't really overthink it too much when I'm throwing. I think because of all the drills and such that we do in training, these things come second nature, and that's the way they should be done. But yeah, I think drilling certain exercises will help you do that, and doing it over and over again so that your body doesn't know what else to do except do those things that you've done in the drills.
Yeah, building up that muscle memory so that it just is,
exactly.
Yeah, you just relax into it when it comes to putting it all together.
Yeah, and definitely as a young thrower, I started very young. I was 11 years old when I first started throwing javelin, and we done a lot of drills then, and I'm so glad that I did then, and not kind of emphasize too much on just competitions, you know, and making sure that I'm doing all the right possible things to be able to get a good technique from a young age, because when you grow up with a good technique, you have got less chance of getting injured. Obviously, I say that and I got injured, but
didn't go so well.
No, but yeah, there was just a few things that went wrong.
Yeah,
and I've learned my lesson now, and I'll make sure that I'm, like we said before, using all those sort of physio exercises. I used to neglect them quite a bit. And I think that's what kind of led me to get my injuries.
That's interesting. So even focusing on those physio exercises, that strength and conditioning right from sort of the beginning of your javelin throwing is just crucially important. And I suppose I was interested also to hear that your winter includes loads of long running and things, because I think maybe slightly less so with javelin than with the heavier throws, but with throws we don't generally think of throwers as running and that sort of general fitness, and yet of course you need to have a really good level of general fitness in order to be able to throw. It's not all just about your arms.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but we have that specific time. So now I'm actually on a break. I have, like, after the competition season, I have like 3-4 weeks of a break, and then we'll go straight into sort of like low weight exercises, high repetition, just to really condition the body And that works as a brilliant tool, doing big functional exercises to all those muscles that I was telling you about, all the small little connecting muscles. It gets all them moving, right? And you're doing things over and over again. So this is a kind of a quick way of conditioning the body. And then you slowly get into heavier weights, lesser reps, as the winter season goes on. And then towards the spring, you're kind of then on like, maximum weight, full intent of lifting a big Olympic bar, above your head. And this all recruits all those muscles that you've been training from the start of the winter to all fire together. So yeah, that's the way we do it.
It's going well. It's good.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But next year will be my first proper, season off the back of a very good winter, I hope. I've got all the help from the National Lottery. They're funding my sport at the moment, so I'm able to train full time, get the rest that I need, and do literally all the training that I want. So next year we're aiming for the big one.
So we're going to see that world record fall next year, are we?
I hope so. I hope we're on this interview again same time next year, celebrating that WR.
Yeah, it's a date. We'll get the champagne ready. Definitely. Oh, that's cool. So you threw an OTE competition javelin in Tokyo. OTE is not hugely well known in the UK. We're more accustomed to names like Nordic and Nemeth and others. So what is it about the OTE that you like? How did you find it? As in, how did you come across the OTE? And obviously we now stock them, but you were throwing them before we stocked them. So what is it about the OTE that you like?
Well, the first thing that brought me to OTE was when I was sort of like 15, 16 years of age, I was getting a bit of elbow trouble. This is before my big rupture in 2012. But I wanted a javelin that was kind of quite soft on the arm, but didn't have too much vibrations. And like I said before, my dad is like a professor now in javelin throwing, and he looked on the internet so much and researched so many different things, and led us to the OTEs. And they're made in America by a guy called Dick Held. So he makes some incredible javelins with low vibration. And what that vibration does in the air, if you have a javelin that vibrates when it leaves your hand, is creating more airspace, and more friction through the air. So as soon as the OTs leave your hand, they kind of have a little bit of give when you throw them. So if you miss the point a little bit, and when you miss the point, it actually puts quite a lot of strain on the elbow. So it flexes and lets your elbow recover a little bit. But as soon as it leaves your hand, it straightens up and stops vibrating. And especially in the OTE composite javelin, which is a composition of steel and carbon, you have the characteristics of carbon, which there is hardly any flex in the javelin at all. But you also have the characteristics of the steel. So it flexes. And especially when you throw now, you've got that forgiveness of the steel in the javelin. So if you miss the point, it doesn't affect your elbow so much. But as soon as it leaves your hands, it goes ping and just straightens. There's literally no vibration whatsoever. So yeah, you're creating a better flight path, and it's easier for the javelin to self-correct. But even if it's not a composite, all the OTEs have, I would say that they're the best at kind of the dampening of the vibrations through the flight.
That's interesting.
My reason.
That's your reason. That's a very good reason.
Yeah, so I've always thrown OTEs, to be honest. In my sort of senior career, I've always gravitated towards OTEs. I mean, the other javelins are good, but my personal preference is that.
Yeah. And I think that is part of it, isn't it? Like the personal preference of finding a javelin that suits you. And obviously, as you described, they're a really top level javelin. And you're looking for those characteristics, but at the end of the day, it's what feels comfortable in your hand and in with your throwing style. So
yeah, I mean, when you pick up javelins, I've been throwing for quite a long time now, and you kind of like pick a javelin up and you go, oh my god, that thing wants to fly. You just have that intuition of saying, right, you know what's going to fly, and you know what's kind of not for you. And every time that I pick an OT out, I'm just like, this thing's going.
Remind me never to let you in our warehouse.
Yeah. Keep the javelins away.
We'll lock them up when you come to visit.
Yeah.
So obviously for javelins, we've got like discs that you can put around the nose of the javelin to throw it into a net indoors. There's also javelin balls and things like that. What do you do over the winter? Do you throw indoors? Do you do all your training outdoors? What tools do you use?
At the moment, I live in Hereford, and my kind of facilities that are available to me for specific javelin throwing quite limited. So I do all my training outdoors. If it's snow, sun, or it's raining, I'm kind of outdoors. Just put my waterproofs on. I'm out there. But to be honest, I kind of prefer that. I kind of like being outside in the elements. It makes you feel that kind of you're working that little bit extra harder. So I do kind of minimum indoor throwing. If I do indoor throwing, it will be with sort of weighted balls against the wall to get that conditioning of my arm, shoulder, elbow. But yeah, I can't do javelin throwing indoors, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're all just fingers, toes, everything crossed that there's going to be no more lockdowns this winter. Because I think javelin throwers have it amongst, the throwers are the worst hit, I think, in terms of training, aren't they? Pole vaulters and the throwers are probably the worst hit, because you can hardly go down to your local park and practice with a javelin, because you're going to like kill someone's dog. But
especially me being a visually impaired javelin thrower.
They can see the newspaper headlines now, like blind man spears dog in local park.
Oh my god!
Yeah, maybe not such
the worst publicity you could ever get, isn't it?
Yeah, perhaps we won't go there.
Reaffirm my kind of condition, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe not.
I don't know.
That's a hell of a shot.
Yeah, that's true. So what do you do in lockdown? Like, what's the if it happens again? Let's cross everything that it doesn't. But what are your plans if you can't keep on the track?
Well, over the past lockdown, it was the people of Hereford have just been so amazing. Like they've literally given me the keys to some facilities, through the lockdown. So I had a whole track myself, through lockdown, which is like, I couldn't believe it. And it's very outdoor, open, open to the elements. So I've done all my training there, and there's also a shipping container, which I do all my training in. So it's sort of like real kind of caveman stuff. There's literally, I just put like a torch in the corner, and it's howling with wind and rain outside, and I'm in this little shipping container just smashing med balls against the wall.
Like your own private gym.
Yeah, but it's very, very rustic.
That is so cool. That is really cool. I love that.
And also the gym that I used to work at, which is the GV Fitness Centre in Pontrilas. The owner there, Sonia Carey, she gave me the permission to actually use the gym as well during lockdown, which again, like I had all the facilities open for me. And that's just the warm heart of all the Herefordians out there.
Yeah, and completely safe, because you're the only one who's able to do that. So, wow, that's amazing. Well, I hope that
it's really great.
Yeah, it's the warmth of people, isn't it? It's really good.
Yeah, and man, like the people of Hereford, I've only been living here for like 2 years, and all of them are so supportive. You know, the people that I've met, you know, for my career, and like when I came home from the Paralympics, my whole street was out, you know, outside my house. You know, it was like 10 o'clock at night, and they're all still there on a school night as well. And oh yeah, it's just great. They're all there cheering me on.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, yeah, and hopefully following this, your profile generally is going to hugely increase, both, you know, because you deserve it, and also brilliant
Because of
for
the cash.
you're going to win best beard award on some like men's magazine.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. That's the main target. That is next year. Let's do it.
Yeah, never mind the world record. We'll just go for the beard.
Yeah.
That is such a good idea. But it's just awesome to raise the profile of like para sport, you know, just to show that there's no reason why anybody shouldn't access sport, and you know there really is something for everybody, and the benefits that it can give you, and you know that's also just fantastic. And just sport in general.
I think parasport means something totally different to me than what it was in able-bodied sport. Able-bodied was literally just all about the performance. This is something totally different. It's been given me the wings to be able to, you know, go on to that extra level and think differently about my my condition. Before I got into parasport, I always thought of my eyesight as something quite negative. Kind of sunk it back into the backs of my brain and didn't really think about it too much. And as soon as I went for my first national classification, the whole situation done like a 180. And you know, I went from thinking, oh God, you know, my eyesight, I wish it was better, to I hope my eyesight is as bad as they say it is. So I'd really like to do parasport. And so it immediately started getting me thinking positively about my eyesight and my condition. And so I think that's what parasport is so powerful at doing, is about kind of enabling people to start thinking positively. And that, you know, it gets me back to my other point. If you have that one positive thing, and if that positive thing is your disability, there's incredible things that you can do, not only for yourself, but like other people certainly going through the same thing as you, and being able to show them kind of pathway to start thinking differently about their disability. And then you empower people to become able beyond their dreams.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be great if when someone's Googling, like, you know, maybe their child has just been diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa and they're Googling it, and the first thing that comes up is not, you know, medical descriptions of the problems that you're going to face throughout your life, but the first thing that comes up is Dan Pembroke smashes the Paralympic record, followed the next year by the world record, with, you know, and all of that positivity. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is so many things you can do. You know, if you got given this diagnosis just recently, you know, yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but there is so many things that you can do and so many things available to you. You know, if you go to British Blind Sport, go to their website, or if you fancy wanting to get into athletics, you know, contact British Athletics. There'll be open days in where you can go and try out different sports. And even if it's not sport, you know, if it's anything that you fancy doing, if you have a hobby or something that you love to achieve, it can give you so much empowerment, and to realize that your condition doesn't hold you back. And if it's a degenerative condition like mine, you know, it's going to get worse, but that it's not worse right now. So work with what you've got. And if you keep working with what you've got, it brings you back to the other point is, you know, you adapt. And you're always going to adapt. So in 10 years' time, when you're thinking about my eyesight's going to be that much worse, well, you're going to adapt to that point. And it's up to you to be positive throughout that journey so you adapt the best you possibly can, and not just kind of hide yourself away and wrap yourself in cotton wool. You need to go out there and experience it.
Look, it's been awesome to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a complete pleasure. Congratulations again on the Paralympic performance.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
We look forward to seeing a lot more of you over the years to come, and we shall continue to, keep in touch and follow your journey. And yeah, good luck for your winter season. Enjoy, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for talking to me.